machine gun can be fired with the Arm 1 button.
Now that's some seductive military training that's easy on the ears.
The enemy set cannot be moved when the green core is destroyed. You can take an enemy gun pod when an immovable enemy approaches. The gun pod can be fired with the Arm 2 button.
The big question is, did that lady get a free copy of Einhander after she was done recording her voice track? I've spent enough time in recording studios to know how that probably went, but I trained to do Shakespeare. Why am I recording for video games? Because this is an awesome game and you probably got paid well to do it, that's why. Wonder if she put that on her resume. Voiceover talent from Einhander. Yes, it's one of Shakespeare's lesser-known plays. A terrible, dramatic tragedy where the knight with one arm faces off against the king's countless legions, only to lose by exploding after being crushed by a giant crab-like robot with a flamethrower and machine gun. Shakespeare was high at the time he wrote that one. Part 2 of Einhander, the review. This game certainly should have a Part 2 released on the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 because it's a tremendous game that pushes the PS1 to its limits graphically. Just imagine how good this would be if they remade this today and kept it in the same style but updated the graphics. It would be incredible. Schießt and Fisten. The only German I know is from Die Hard. Although the Einhander refers to one-handed, it could refer to unforgiving, because that's what this game is. It shows you no mercy. This isn't like Musha or Android Assault, where you can take a few hits before you blow up. If you get hit by anything in this game, you explode and die. It's not like Gradius or some of the other side-scrolling shooters where when you're fighting an end boss and you blow up, you regenerate right there in the fight. And this one, if you die while fighting an end boss, it backs you up to the beginning of that end boss. And the end bosses are ridiculously challenging. They have some imaginative end bosses in this game. It's a lot of fun to see them explode, and you do get a feeling of joy every time you defeat one, followed by a feeling of dread because it's as if you've defeated the end boss, now things are going to get easier for a little bit, but they don't. This game just keeps piling on the bad guys with increasing difficulty. This is the scene where Einhander finds out that the giant crab-like robot from the previous scene was his father. Here's my favorite weapon in the game, which I only used briefly because I got killed shortly thereafter. The Lightsaber. There's a nice variety of gun pods in here, and I typically use the Gatling gun and the cannon the most, and the missiles, and the homing missiles. But they have something called the Hedgehog, and there's grenades, and the Lightsaber, which would be tremendous for wiping out a whole array of enemies coming towards you, but or killing Jedis. I hear it works well for that. I come up to an end boss here that took me about 30 tries to figure out how to kill this guy. The thing with the end bosses is they require some repeat attempts to figure out their weaknesses. This guy took me a while to figure out how to defeat because I started off by shooting his head, and then it occurred to me I had to get rid of those things on the top and the bottom, or else they do these horrible things with his laser beams and destroy you. Then you have to shoot his legs out, and it took a while to figure out how to beat this guy, and each boss is like that. Einhander does give you 10 continues, and you'll need every one of them. Unless you're like the god of Einhander, in which case every other video game should just be a joke to you. Because if you can be the master of this game, I can only assume that you're the master of every video game that requires good hand-eye coordination. Because you have to do so many things at once in this. Falls off the cliff, and then in typical Einhander fashion, even though I've defeated the end boss and maybe expect a moment to sit down and catch my breath, the game just pounds me with more enemies, that I actually didn't know how to defeat, since this is the first time I got this far in the game. I'm not sure how much longer this game is. Maybe some of you guys out there can let me know, but it's a good time. Einhander is awesome. The disc also gives you an evaluation score at the end, so you can feel even worse about yourself after you've just been annihilated. I got an A for enemy shot down, but an E for technical points. It gives you all these different graphs and fields. This is the kind of game I'd like to see more of, and I'm glad that games like Ikaruga are coming out on Xbox Live. That's really cool because that's a fun two-dimensional game. But I'd like to see more of these clever, difficult two-dimensional side-scrolling shooters, even if you're using three-dimensional elements like Einhander does. And this is over 10 years old now. I know that there's not an enormous market for this over here in the States, which is kind of a shame, but I personally would like to see these kind of games coming out over here. They give you some slides at the end showing the tremendous graphics and art design that went into each of the weapons, and I have a feeling that there's a lot more to unlock in this game. When you start playing it, and you get into it, you realize that you're just scratching the surface. If you like two-dimensional shooters with tremendous graphics, style, infinite replay value, that are challenging to the point where they make you feel bad about yourself, Einhander is one of the best games you'll ever play. So I extend one hand of friendship to shake the hand of the people who designed this game because it's just tremendous. You fine people deserve a round of applause. Now I've actually got to go. I have a meeting with the I Suck at Einhander support group, where we get together bi-weekly and give everybody a group hug, like, I only got to level 3 and then exploded. But there's always that one guy who keeps coming and thinks we're the I Suck at Frogger support group. That's down the hall.